unique moment in the 2,000-year history of the Roman Catholic Church. A meeting between a new pope and his still living predecessor hasn't been possible for nearly 600 years, but it's happening this morning at the Papal Summer Palace, Castel Gandolfo, near Rome. Alan Pizzi is there. Alan, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony. Well, interestingly, there's no official protocol for an event like this because there's been nothing like it in the 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church. However, Benedict is the host because the new Pope Francis has not yet officially taken possession of the premises. Castel Gandolfo has been the summer retreat of popes for more than 500 years. The novelty of having two here at once attracted local people, sightseers, and journalists, even though it was announced that the current and former pope would meet and have lunch in private. The meeting comes 4 days after Francis' inauguration, 10 days after his election, and 8 years after he came second in the conclave that elected Benedict as pope. While no details are being released, it seems reasonable that the two will discuss the confidential report on Vatican corruption that Benedict commissioned and has held in secret for his successor to read. The Journal of Francis Jesuit Order described the two popes as intensely in sync. In a meeting a few days ago with ambassadors from 180 nations that have relations with the Vatican, Francis called on them to fight spiritual poverty, which he said was what my much-loved predecessor Benedict XVI called the tyranny of relativism. That said, the Vatican has announced that heads of departments who automatically lost their jobs during the interim between popes were being reinstated until other provisions are made, a clear signal that Francis is already getting on with the job of cleaning up the mess that contributed to Benedict's resignation. How much influence Benedict will have on who goes and who stays at the Vatican will probably never be fully known, but the staff changes will be closely analyzed for clues as to how Francis intends to change the church. Anthony, Rebecca?
Alan, do you think Benedict is going to have any kind of ongoing role in counseling Francis in any way after this?
Well, there's been a lot of debate over that, Anthony. Some people say he has to disappear into the background, but I think it would be very strange for him to be living in the Vatican and Francis not to take advantage of being able to chat to him, because after all, the only people who can understand the job are those who have done it, and it's quite an advantage, I think, for a new pope, maybe to have an old one there to ask a few questions of from time to time.
Alan, you also mentioned the confidential Vatican report that's likely to have been discussed by both Benedict and Francis's comments that the heads of departments within the Vatican, they have their jobs back for now. What sort of changes do we anticipate Pope Francis making?
Well, the first change has got to be the Secretary of State. Cardinal Tarcisio Bertone, who was Benedict's Secretary of State, was widely held to be weak and ineffectual and one of the root causes of the problem. So, new Secretary of State, the heads of several departments within the Vatican, key departments, will almost certainly be changed. I think we're going to see the old order gone. There'll be a fair number of Italians, but a fair number of foreigners with whom Francis is probably a little more comfortable.
Alan Pizzi. Thanks, Alan.